If you really struggle with learning songs on drums, or if that's just a skill that you wish to improve upon, then these 5 tips are going to be extremely useful to you. Kicking it all off, this first tip relates to a very common mistake that most beginners make when it comes to learning songs. Trying to learn a song all at once is just an absolute waste of your time. It feels a lot more enjoyable and fun to just loop a song over and over again and try and figure out the drum parts as you go, just jamming along to it. But to make this 10 times more efficient, you should be learning your songs in small increments. Depending on the difficulty of the song, this can be like 1 measure at a time, 2 measures at a time, even 8 measures at a time. And the way that you can apply this to learning songs is by learning a very small part of a song and then looping it over and over again, playing it over and over again until we have it down perfectly, and then moving on to the next part. If you want to know how to loop parts of the song you're learning, you can do this very easily in software like GarageBand. Just take a screen recording of the song and then import that into the Mac version of GarageBand and use the loop feature to play it over and over again. If you don't have access to a Mac or GarageBand, that's perfectly fine. I'm sure other software is capable of doing it. And if all else fails, like, just loop it on Spotify. Honestly, that's what I normally do when I learn songs. Even after breaking the song down into small increments, though, you may still not be able to figure it out. Some drum parts are just very complex, full of measures with patterns that never repeat, or patterns that are followed very loosely that you may not really understand until you've listened to the song over and over again. If you need to learn a song with intricate parts fast, or you just don't want to waste time, it will help you tremendously to have a way to write down whatever you're learning. That way you can use said notes for reference later. There are plenty of really talented musicians out there who don't know how to read music, but it will help you so much, and it will make you just a much more well-rounded player if you are able to read music. Here's a quick way to shorthand drum parts so you can kind of just get the idea down. First of all, we're gonna have our top note. This is the cymbal. It can be any cymbal. Whatever cymbal you're playing, you can label it. So let's say it's a hi-hat. And then middle note, we've got the snare drum. We'll just put that on 2 and 4. Then we'll sprinkle in a little bit of bass drum. So we'll put that 1 and 2 first and foremost, but let's say we want to do a double on the kick, do 2 doubles on the kick. I have a slightly different way of shorthanding drums, so if you want to learn about my specific method, I'll probably make a video about it soon. So tip number 2 is to learn how to read music, or at the very least, learn how to shorthand drum parts. When you finally do learn how to read music, it can be very easy to obsess over the parts that you're learning and try and learn everything absolutely perfectly. And after all, why wouldn't you? If you know how to write down everything the drummer is playing, like, why wouldn't you put in the extra effort to write down every single note and play it exactly as it is? Well, this can actually turn into a pretty big problem, and tip number 3 is going to help you mitigate that. For some reason, when I first started learning songs on the drums, I felt like it didn't count if I didn't learn the song exactly as it was played by the original drummer. Like, if I knew a song the entire way through, but there was one fill that I couldn't play, I'd be like, yeah, no, I can't play that song. The problem here is perfectionism is the enemy of progress. With the exception of maybe a few cases, like if you're joining an established band where they want you to play everything perfectly, you never really need to learn drum parts exactly as they're played on the record. What you should do is go for the exact same feel as the original drummer, but learning every single drum part as they're played on the record, like down to the exact rack tom they're playing it on, like, oh, this is played on rack tom number 2 and not number 3. That's completely useless and counterproductive. If you can play a fill that captures the exact same feel and rhythm as the original one, but you're using slightly different drums or maybe a slightly different hand pattern, that's perfectly fine. And I'm willing to bet that you're gonna learn the song a lot faster if you do not stress about learning everything perfect. While you should definitely add your own flair into the song, it's important that you get 90% the exact same feel for the song as the original drummer. And in order to do this correctly, you need to avoid this very fatal flaw that most intermediate drummers actually make when they're learning songs on the drums. And that is the mistake of playing along to the song on the actual kit as soon as you start learning. When you're first learning drum parts, it's really easy to just have a lot of fun with it and start jamming to the song immediately, like, oh, I heard 1 measure of the beat, I got the general idea, let me just go ahead and start playing. But in reality, jumping to start playing on your drum kit as soon as you start learning the song will lead you to miss out on certain aspects of the song, like certain small details, and overall make your learning process slower. If you're playing over the song with your loud ass drum kit and they play a short drum fill, but you just play right over the drum fill, then you're not gonna know that it happened, and now you don't know the song properly. You're gonna have to go back and fix it later, as opposed to just learning the song correctly the first time. So for those reasons, tip number 4 is whenever you're learning a song, make sure you start it off by playing on pillows or a practice pad, an unplugged electronic drum kit, or even just air drum. Sometimes even if you're playing on something that's very quiet and you can hear the drum part perfectly, you just still struggle to figure out what they're playing. If you really want to nail a particular drum beat or fill, download the song and upload it to an app like Moises. Here you can remove all of the instruments and slow the song down. Obviously, I have no affiliation with them. I mean, look at the size of this channel. Anyway, so tip number 5 is when you're really struggling, isolate the drum part and slow it down. Using software like Moises can isolate your drum parts and make it easy to learn them, but how do you make sure you actually sound good when you're playing the parts? Believe it or not, a lot of beginners make simple mistakes that just separate their playing from the more intermediate to advanced players. It just makes them sound kind of rookie. And this is because they always fall into a couple of key pitfalls that, 90% of beginners make. If you want to avoid making those mistakes, I would go watch this video right here. I'm going to talk about all of those and help you fix them.